9 days. 9 days is all it took to overthrow a government in Syria. And Syria has fallen, at least in the sense of the current regime. But is that something you're ready for? Could you actually adapt to an environment where your government is overthrown in the period of 9 days on a national level? Because that's what people in Syria are dealing with right now. And I think it's something worth preparing for because this didn't happen on accident, and it's definitely not happening organically. So I do want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel, and thanks to them, I'll bring you information like this when I can, when I find it pertinent and relevant to preparedness. And of course, they have everything you might need to get better prepared and equipped for, I don't know, a government being overthrown in the period of 9 days. So big thanks to Midway USA. Now, the Syrian civil war, to be fair, has been going on for 13 years. But what just happened over these past 9 days was extremely fast and should wake you up to the fact that this could happen in other places. This isn't just limited to places like Syria, because this can go on anywhere where there's been a level of decay for quite some time. Like I said, a 13-year-long civil war eventually led to a 9-day overthrowing of the government. How did this all play out? Well, here's the thing. And this is a part you should really be paying attention to, because I think this is what actually matters right now. Turkey, the USA, and Israel are directly involved in providing material support to HTS forces, or Hayat Tahrir al-Sham forces, basically the rebels, right? And there's a lot of different factions and everything else, but that doesn't really matter for this conversation. That material support is what allowed them to move so quickly and to be so successful in this campaign. And that includes things like drones, tanks, artillery, and everything else. Understand that Russia was supporting the Assad regime, the Syrian government, with airstrikes and everything related to what the Russian military can provide. And yet this still happened within a period of 9 days. Reverse whatever side it is you want to be concerning yourself with, and understand that it doesn't really matter who's providing the material support to what groups. This could happen pretty much anywhere if somebody wants to make it happen, which is what we've just been demonstrated. So, how fast did this move? What happened over these 9 days, right? Here's just to lay it out for you really quickly. November 29th, the rebels entered Aleppo, which is Syria's second largest city, and by the 30th, they owned it. They took it over, okay? So in like a day, they took over the second largest city in the nation. On December 1st, the rebels advanced on Hama, and by December 5th, they owned it too, right? That's how fast this is happening. On December 6th, the rebels took Dara, which is south of Damascus. And on December 7th, the rebels took Homs, which is north of Damascus. And what do you think happened next? Surprise, surprise, by December 8th, the rebels took Damascus, coming from the north and the south, exactly how you would expect to take over a city like Damascus, or any other city you want to relate that to in any other country in the world. And of course, now Assad is missing in action. We're not sure where he went, but it doesn't matter because Syria has fallen in the sense of who was currently running the government there. And the rebel forces have overthrown it and taken over cities, population centers, in the matter of days. Okay? So, it doesn't matter how you feel about what's happening in Syria, because that's not really what matters. It's another example of World War III occurring right below our noses, and things that are escalating throughout the entire planet regarding all these different factions of East and West having conflicts in the form of proxy conflicts just about everywhere. However, my takeaway from this, and what I think your takeaway should be, is that if governments around the world decide to provide a level of material support, training, and logistics to a large enough group of people who are willing to fight for what it is that has their best interests in mind, well, they can accomplish whatever they want. And that applies to the United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, just about anywhere else you could think that something like this could happen. Especially if they've, let's just say, degraded the population enough over a long enough period of time to create an environment where most people are just going to run and flee rather than stand and fight. And that's what we saw happening in most of these cities in Syria, where the acting regime's forces were just running away. So, let me know your thoughts down below. This happened fast. It was worth an update, at least in my opinion, and it is something I think is worth considering from a preparedness standpoint. There's nothing stopping anyone from doing this anywhere else. And it doesn't have to be the West who is providing material support to make a successful campaign like that happen. It could be the East as well, especially in places where we wouldn't expect something like this to occur.